then we do what we have to do. I just a lot of what I did. Country. I had a lot of arguments about tempo and things like that.
Yep.
Like, we can put on a click right now. No, it's not about the click. I'm like, I think it's exactly about the click. All right, are we ready? So, if she's telling you to click on 2 and 4, then go ahead and pedal 2 and 4. Try to still get all of your little atmospheric kind of stuff in there. Okay?
I know you don't have your whatever.
I don't have my mouse.
Just do it with those. It's fine. Just do it with that. It's
I'm
fine.
going to use timpani mounts for it. It's fine. You can just do it that way. They'll sound different, but even if it's this, I still know what you mean, right? You just don't have the mallets. Okay, here we go. Okay. So, did you give that your all as if it were the performance?
No.
Not really. So what?
I'm still warming up.
Okay. But yeah, I could feel the difference. I could feel you kind of going for some things that sounded kind of goofy and out of place. There were a couple that I really liked though. There was one right before at the very end that you ended on that symbol over there. That last one that you did before you end up in the quiet section that ends the song. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Kind of.
Okay, well, whatever the case, that last fill you did was pretty cool. There were some other ones in there. We've talked about before landing the plane. Your crash cymbals were getting quieter, but your toms weren't. So, it was like these, rather than go bigger and then go smaller. So if you're going to go, do that one first. Don't do that one at the end. See what I mean? You create more space, it creates a more of a gentle landing. Make sense? Okay. The other thing, this is definitely slower than what we've been practicing, right? It feels that way to everybody, I think. Is anybody in disagreement?
No.
Okay. To me, that felt slow.
I think she slowed it down probably 5 BPM.
Okay, yeah. If
what
the
it
band
feels like.
needs that, then the band needs that, and that's okay. Make sure that just because you've been practicing these other things, don't let it get sloppy because it's slow. Because I'm noticing that the way that you're doing your fills is a little bit different because you're getting through the fill really fast and then realizing you've got some extra space. So you're still crashing on one the same, but it's not smooth all the way through because you're kind of used to doing them at this faster speed. So I would say definitely from now on, you're going to practice with this recording. Don't go back and practice with whatever you have on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, because that's going to get you acclimated to going faster and you're going to want to push the band forward. But she clearly wants it at a slower tempo. The better you can ingrain that into your head, then when you get to the actual performance, you won't speed it up too much. Though, if you accidentally did, she might not be happy with it, but I might like it more.
Well, it's tough because there is a backing track going on.
Oh, if there's a backing track, then definitely not. Yeah, we don't want to. You definitely don't want to get a. So wait a minute. So that means even at the show, he's gonna have a click.
I have to wear headphones.
He's
Okay.
going to be in headphones. All the drummers will be. Because
That's good. That's good experience. That's actually
Yes.
great experience to do that
What?
live. Yeah.
When you're doing that, if like I can't hear myself, so I might just start crushing, and then now I can hear myself. All right.
Well, you'll definitely have to make sure that you're dialed in because if you the problem with a backing track is going to be exact. If you lose track of it, then you're going to end up going a little bit fast, and everybody in the audience will hear everything flamming because you're going to get ahead of the backing track. And then what happens is you have to try to pull the whole band. It's not just you. When you're in here and you're playing, like, say, one of these solos, right, and you're going a little bit fast, and I go, slow down, and then you slow it down to get the metronome, you're just doing it, that's just you. You're not having to also pull the band. That's tougher. It's a lot tougher. You have to really hold your ground and make them come to you, okay? So it's tricky, but I think that's the best, that's the whole reason I send you guys to these events in the first place. I didn't know she was doing backing tracks.
Or Taylor Swift.
I don't know if some of the other students that I was about to send her, I don't know that they could have done this with backing tracks. So it actually kind of worked out in a way that it's you and Wyatt, because I'm not sure that they would be ready for backing tracks. It's a tricky thing. It's one other thing that you have to think about. You already have so many things to have to think about.
Guiding you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
you
you're
had
used to
some.
a metronome.
Yeah.
You had some interesting fill choices though.
Yeah. There was one in particular, I feel like we shared a glance. I was like, ooh.
Uh,
There was a stinker in there. But yeah, luckily I pounded it into your head since you were this big.
4,
Or
6 years,
Since
dude.
you were that big that you got to play with the metronome all the time. Because then when they put a metronome on, you're like, oh, it's not so bad. I got a guide rail. To other people, they don't see it as a guide rail. They're going to see it as very frustrating. I'm trying to play and this thing keeps getting in my way. It's like, no, just...
I used to think
Let
that
it-
I would be like this, and the metronome would just go. Whee!
My favorite moments are the first time a student asks me, ooh, this is kind of hard. Can you put the metronome on? Oh.
Teaching them.
He's
The
done
first
it
time
once.
that you ask me for the metronome, I'm like, yes.
When did I do that?
You've done it.
Probably 2
Actually,
years ago.
I'm not sure Wyatt has done it, but I've had a couple other kids. Andrew has done it. Mason has done it. I've got other kids that have asked me to put a metronome on, and when that happens, I'm just. I think the first one was she had been playing drums for a long time. I didn't start working with her until she was a freshman in high school, but her name was Sophie, and she just did not like working with a metronome, and I made her do it anyway. And finally her auditions for college came around, and she came back and she said, "Thank you." They made me play everything to a click. Like, all right. Good. So yeah, it's a super important skill, and so I'm glad that I have pushed it on you and Wyatt a lot. I think Wyatt tends to not play with the metronome when he's at home. I think he tends to just go natural.
I don't really either. It's only with backing tracks.
You do, but you don't realize it because when you play the songs, those are all the metronomes.
It's similar, yeah. So it's not the same as just playing to a metronome.
Just playing new straight.
But I think one of the best things that you can do. So right now, if I said, "What's your favorite fill?" Play it. Okay. How many times have you done that fill to a metronome? Just raw, just metronome and you.
1 or 2.
1 or 2. Okay.
I don't do it
Every time I come up with something really cool,
you do it
or I see something, yes, especially if it's hard.
Like this, when I had trouble with it, would I do that to a metronome?
I think anything that you think is really cool, but tricky, you should do it several times with a metronome. A bunch of times with the metronome until you feel that playing along with the metronome is easy.
One day I'm gonna thank you for this.
I hope so. I mean, not that I need the gratification of that, but I hope that you realize how much you need it, because it's super important to everybody.
It keeps you on, because if you're in like a metal song like Nerve, it's easy to lose track, right?
Yeah,
and if you have a click behind you, you're like, okay.
And I've told you before that Nerve is really hard for me. I don't play a lot of double pedal anymore, so it's gotten really tough. Every time I'm playing it, and in fact lately it hasn't been with the track at all because I can't go at full speed yet. It's always with a metronome. One of my favorite grooves ever from a Trivium song, In Waves, I played it to a metronome a lot until I could get it up to speed. You play with a metronome, especially you start playing stuff that's really like. You start playing stuff that's kind of out. I found this one on Drum. I think it was like Drum Talk TV or something like that.
Show me.
How did it go? There it is.
That sounds delayed.
It does, because they're groupings of 5.
Oi.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1.
Oi.
Because what is 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 1?
16. Divided by 4 is 4.
There you go. So
That's
when
what
I
math-
was learning something tricky like that, and it's over 2 bars. So I guess more correctly they're probably 10s because groupings of whatever the case, mathematically how that works out. You better believe I worked out with the metronome a lot before I could play that really clean and in time the whole time.
I do.
Yeah. It's super helpful. Super helpful for everything you do. If you find a cool thing that you want to use a lot, play it to a metronome a bunch of times. It will clean it up. Play it slow to a metronome. Play it fast to a metronome. Whatever you got to do. Because some of the stuff that you can play really well, just the difference of about 5 BPM, it became sloppy. Some of the stuff that you were doing. You could feel that too, right?
Yeah, it's throwing me off a little because I'm used to like a...
And that's exactly the point.
And
You
it's
got
not like-
used to something, and so when someone takes you out of what you got used to, you get sloppy. The more that imagine you played that fill at every single tempo. You played it at 40, you played it at 41, you played it at 42, you played it at 43, all the way up to 200.
Dude.
Then you're not really used to it in any one tempo. You can play it at any tempo, right?
They have to
And that's even being
tell
kind
you
of
what tempo.
that's being kind of extreme, but the point's still there, right? So we want to make sure that you don't get so used to everything that you can't play it at different tempos. You got to be able to play it at whatever tempo. Okay. All right. So
I would do the love story because the other one is 2 into 1.
okay. like that he saw that I didn't have headphones on, so he got a lot quieter at the end.
Appreciate
I
it.
just saw the no headphones.
Oh, hold on. Was that?
That's it.
Okay, there it is. It wasn't coming out of my...
It took a hot second.
Hold on. So treat this like the performance, okay? Be real serious. So, a lot of the ones at first, they fall apart at the end. So if you know that, again, back to our other conversation, you like that fill. I like
Do it
that
to the
fill.
click.
I think it's great. Do it to the click. Make it clean. Boom. Unless you're wanting doom, then that's harder. You got more kicks there. Boom.
I might still have like a click when you can like set with the knob. I
Well,
might
whatever
still
the case.
have that one.
Yeah, you might find that you can't get that many double basses out, in which case you can pop one more snare in there. You know what I mean? diggity got dat, diggity got dat, diggity got boom, rather than diggity got dat, diggity got dat, diggity boom.
Yeah.
Where you kind of, I would even literally see you kind of almost fall forward trying to get the extra kicks, which I understand that's a lot of them.
I'm not El
that's-
Estafario yet.
You're doing 3 and you're trying to literally double it. Bop, 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 bop. Actually, I guess it's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Yeah. So if you wanna go for that, then fine. But click it. All right. I felt like your volume was a little bit high pretty much the whole time. So then, as you start kind of getting to some of this other stuff, you sort of ran out of places to go. Saving the double kick for the key change was a great idea. And that's I think the like Romeo something.
The last chorus.
That last chorus where the key change happens. Yeah, that whole thing.
I don't want to be here next.
I
can't sing.
Chicken nugget.
That's the next song.
Oh yeah.
Let the nuggets be nuggies.
Yeah. So good choice. We definitely the less bass drum you can use at the beginning of every song, the better. I think in Enchanted that was something I had forgotten, but right at the very beginning you were going to town on that pedal, and I thought save it for later. Don't do it. Just don't do it in the first verse. It's too much. So as long as you're thinking like that, you're thinking of energy. You have the beginning and you have the climax of the song, which is going to be like the last chorus, and then you'll kind of bring it down from there. But for the most part, it's an uphill journey the whole time. You start kind of soft and you get bigger and you get bigger as you go, right? But that doesn't mean it's straight up. You're going to get kind of bigger, and then you're going to come down a little bit, and then you're going to get bigger, and you're going to kind of come down a little bit, and you're going to get bigger, right? Maybe
Kinda
the bridge,
like
you're going to come
benches?
way down, and then you're going to go back up.
Kind of like benches where it goes up, and then down, and then up.
Yeah, kind of.
And then the next one's the same as the second step.
Yeah.
And then
So,
they
but
eventually-
ultimately, you're building energy, because the point is that where that key change happens, that's the point where like he proposes to her, and they're like finally gonna get married and live happily ever after, right? That's the happy part of the song. That's the whole time we've been struggling, we've been sneaking around, we've been doing all this stuff or whatever. Things are kind of dangerous. They're not. It's not looking good for me. I'm not happy. And then boom, here's this big moment where we're really happy and we get a happily ever after, right? That's what you're building to. So that should be the biggest part of the song, maybe even the instrumental part after that, because now there's no singer. So you've got some extra time. There was, I think, now that I think about it, also back in Enchanted, I think there was a spot where normally there was like a guitar solo or something, and there was just nothing in the track. And I thought, well, that's a good time to kind of pop off and do some cool stuff.
Actually, she had me just kind of quiet down for the whole song.
Well,
I guess she's trying to showcase her students.
Yeah.
Their ability in strumming.
and I did ask her, I said, did you have to tell him to take anything out? She goes, yep. I said, did he give you attitude? She said, nope. I said, okay, good. I checked. If you had given her attitude, I would have known. Rachel's in charge. That's how it is. No matter what I tell you in here, it's her band, it's her rules, it's her way. So I'm teaching you your approach, but you always have to be willing to do it the band leader's way. No matter how I learn it. There were a lot of times where in my other band that I played in for a long time, that I won't name because we're on YouTube, there were a lot of times where I did not really like the direction that we were going, but I wasn't the boss. So I had to do it his way. And that's just how it goes.
Dad, can you pause that for a second?
Don't worry about it, it's fine.
I know who it is.
Cash Cats?
So don't start guessing. Don't start guessing, because that's the point, right? So but anyway, and it wouldn't even just be one band, it would be a lot of bands. So but yeah, you gotta play by the rules. Okay? So the probably the biggest problem that I'm seeing overall is that as you get excited, you pull away from the click because it gets hard to hear, so then you gotta pull back. And pulling the whole band back is a lot harder than just pulling back yourself. The other thing is that because of the speed decrease, things have.
That one felt the same tempo.
Yeah, I don't think that one changed as
It
much.
might change like one.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I could still. I don't know. When we were playing with Spotify in here, it felt like things were tighter, and maybe it's just not like an up day, And we all have those. Sometimes I can play
Really fast.
Yeah, I can play stuff that I'm not normally able to play, and I can just rip. And then other days, I just, for whatever reason, the coordination's just not happening, and I end up throwing the sticks at your dad's studio wall. So, you know.
Only once.
When did
For
that
one
happen?
fill that you were all super excited to play.
It happens. So.
I wrote this really
Don't
cool
worry.
fill,
Yeah.
and I can't land it.
Even though I'd landed it, 100 times the day before. Just how it goes.
Hey, did you get a stick stuck in the wall?
No, nothing like that. I didn't break any drywall or anything. But okay, we got one more, right?
Yeah, it's 2 songs into 1. Headphones, Bubba.
Hey. At
Headphones,
least we're
Bubba.
ready for it, and look what you made me do. I don't have the electric kick, but I can't go ham with a kick. What now?
Yep, you're gonna have to back it up.
Oh, this is dogs. This is not look what you made me do. This is ready for it.
That's what was there.
This is probably where.
That's probably a good point. We should be getting used to clicking the hat when you're not doing anything, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, before we go on to the other one, so there is no way, if there's a backing track and there's nothing going on and you don't give them anything, if you do nothing here, they will have no... Because you're cueing off of their vocals. In the middle of, right? You let them start it and then you fill. So you've got two options. If you're gonna go totally quiet, you gotta do a fill that leads them into singing. Or you have to pedal. Okie doke?
I'll do pedal.
Because there's nothing in there to help them at all. Okay? So let's try. I'm gonna back up in that section. Make sure you just got some pedal in there. The end of that song is just... So that second time it was cleaner. I was going to make comments about how that was both the cleanest one you've played today and the sloppiest, because there was some double pedal work in there that was just kind of all over the place. But some of the hi-hat work was really clean, and then some of the hi-hat work was also really messy, but some of your fills were also really clean. So it was like it was a toss-up. Things were either very clean or they were not clean at all. So good one to work on. I think this is getting better, right? Because I think I heard a lot of it first, right? It was a little bit chunkier as opposed to that really crisp. That's tough. That's a fast speed to do that at. Finger work. You can get better with your fingers. You're a slugger, so you play a lot with your wrists. See, you're trying to really use your wrist to get that speed. Look at my wrist.
I just practice.
You can see that kind of thing. That's more finger. But even then, it's one wrist stroke and one finger stroke on both.
Watching this video, his left hand is finger, his right hand is wrist.
Oh no, my left hand.
Which means that your left hand is being forced to adapt to keep up with your right hand, which fingers are going to be faster than wrist. How you clean it up? How you fix it?
Match her down.
You find out what tempo the song is at, and then you just try to see how long you can hold that for. And then add your snare. Then you add your bass pedal. Yeah. So the big difference is the way that you play that right now versus the way that I look when I play it. You're still kind of having to force it with your whole body. Your body shakes a lot while you're doing that because you're having to really force and really dig in. It's not as easy just on your fingers, right? I'm not having to, you know what I mean? You can see a difference in my body, right? When I try to force it, whereas with just fingers, yeah. See, I'm watching a lot of this in your fingers. These two fingers are kind of sticking out, which means that you're pushing the wrist really hard. So without moving your stick at all, show me the inside of your hand. Let me see. Without moving the stick, look at how far up you are. That's part of it.
That's
So
alright.
all of, and this is why, let's be real serious here for a sec, okay? Take the headphones off. This is why we've had a lot of talks about dynamics, okay? When you're trying to play as loud as possible, your body is going to adapt so that you can play as loud as possible. You're going to learn and get more comfortable swinging your sticks really high. You're going to learn to use a lot of wrist, elbow, and shoulder in order to get that kind of power. You're going to roll really far up. At least we haven't gotten to a point where you're here yet. And I hope that we never get there. I don't like to see caveman grip on our sticks, right? So, but the sticks will roll all the way in, and you will go all the way back, because the farther back you go, the more leverage, the heavier the stick is. It will weigh more. So all of the symptoms that you're showing here are all crusher symptoms. These are all things that crushers do in order to get that edge. You play here more than you play here. You play from your elbows and your wrists more than you play from your fingers. You scooch really far back on your sticks. It's easier to use your fingers if you're on the actual balance point of the stick. So if I were to try to play as fast as I can, right? And I were to try to scoot way back here and do the same thing.
I feel like you're kind of exaggerating.
What? I'm not doing it on. Why would I purposefully make mistakes?
Use your
What's
left hand-
happening is my
use your left
fingers
hand so
are
you see it.
slipping off the stick.
I
That's why
hold my stick
I'm
like
chunking like that.
this. So there's a small part.
Okay.
So
Even there. Or it's
like, put my hand on the.
you're on the actual balance point of the stick when you're up further, choked up a little bit higher than being choked so far back.
So like
Okay.
on the signature for this.
Well, it depends on the stick, right? Find it. Where is it? Scooch forward or scooch back until you get the most amount of bounce for the least amount of work. So yeah, for me it's here. So my stick sticks out past my hand about as much, if not more, than yours does, and my hands are bigger than yours. So the stick should go further out past your hand than mine because your hands are smaller, right? So see right there, you're looking a little bit better. But when I told you to freeze, I was looking at this, way down here. Okay, at least you're not here. I think I've caught you doing that before a couple times.
Yeah,
Not
just,
recently,
Like
but I've caught you pretty like
where my pinkies.
the end of the stick is in your palm, right?
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's
so,
me. That's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Look at my fingers.
Yeah. So we just have to watch for all those things, okay? And it's gonna help your speed. When you have to play really hard, the sacrifice sometimes is your speed. Because you can't play as hard if you're going faster, because you simply can't get your shoulder and your elbow involved when you're going at super fast speeds.
You can't move that fast.
Yes, your bigger muscles can't move that fast. So you do sacrifice some volume for speed, but your priority for a long time has been volume. Whether you're deliberately choosing that or not, that's why it's your default, because it's what is comfortable. It's what you practice the most, is loud volume.
And it might help for the volume that I have a pair of really noise canceling headphones.
I think that could be part of it. I think
Because-
if you had no headphones at all, you might not default to blisteringly loud because it would hurt you.
Then you
That's-
get mad at me when I turn your headphones down and I can't hear myself. And what do I tell you? Play softer.
Well, here's the thing. I was listening to the beginning of a song once. You had it down halfway, and I couldn't hear a thing.
Well, okay, that's neither here nor there. I don't want to go into those specific kind of arguments. But what I will say is that one of the things as a working professional drummer that I got a lot of positive feedback about was keeping my volume under control. Being able to play a whole gig and not drag, not whiff notes, and to be just solid but very low. And you have to practice that. You can't just think to yourself, oh, when someone tells me to turn it down, I'll just turn it down. But you never practice that way, you won't do it. And if you do, it won't be for very long. You'll eventually gradually get pulled back into whatever tempo is you're most comfortable, which is why I try to remind you whenever we start these songs, okay, you're in performance mode, Make sure that you're careful about your volume. But even today, right? You
Even-
could have been softer today, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the softer sections in particular, right? You were hitting pretty hard in verse 1 already. It's just how it goes. Okay? So, I know that this is a grown-up concept. So this is hard. This is hard, okay? But to be the best that you can be, you have to also practice the things that aren't as fun and are kind of hard.
Like for
Okay.
me,
So
jazz.
before you answer that, I want you to really think about what that means, okay? Again, this is tough. This is adult talk right now. I'm not treating you like a little kid. Okay? The things that you don't want to do. Hard reading, hard music styles, playing soft,
hard
following-
music styles, I think of hitting hard.
well, no, what I should say difficult music styles then.
Okay.
So a mambo, for example, or a really, really fast samba, those things aren't always super fun at first. From my personal experience, I hated jazz. I did. I played saxophone for 8 years, and all of my teachers told me, you need to be playing jazz. You need to be listening to jazz. I hated it. I didn't want anything to do with it. I avoided it. Then I switched over to drums and went, cool, I don't have to play jazz anymore. Wrong. I then needed to learn how to play jazz on drum set, and I hated it. I had teachers that were really mean. I ran into people at my gigs that were really mean. I had all kinds of, I didn't like it. I didn't like the people. I didn't like the music. And then I met the right person, and that was Al to me. So that was my teacher, who I love and adore, then showed me that it can be fun. He showed me Dooba Dooba. He showed me 3-5-4. He showed me rough bark and all of these little licks and things. And then it wasn't toxic. It wasn't stressful. It wasn't whatever. It just became fun. So playing soft might not be fun at first, but when you get good at it, and then someone comes up to you and they're like, whoa, I've never heard a drummer play that good and that soft at the same time, that's going to feel good. You're going to be like, ooh, yeah. Like, you're going to feel pumped about that, because you know how often people compliment a drummer on playing soft? Not very often. Almost always they will complain about you being too heavy and being too loud. So you come into a venue and they don't even have to tell you one time to turn it down. They will just shower praise on you. Oh my gosh, I never see drummers like this. It's a big deal, even though it might not be a big deal to you. Okay, so you have to think about that seriously. So that takes time. You have to practice that way. You have to practice to play. You have to practice playing quietly in order to get good at playing quietly, right? You don't get good at playing fast unless you practice the control that you need to get fast.
Practice makes permanent.
Yeah, and you won't play soft. You won't play well soft unless you practice playing soft. Okay? The stuff that you're doing on this song, these little light things, those sound nice, but every time you're going through, you're playing those, you're practicing those soft, right? I would be mad if at home you were practicing those. I'd be like, oh, come on. If you even did that once in here, I'd be like, stop. What are you doing? You're not going to play it that loud. Don't practice it that loud. But you practice it soft. And what's happened? It sounds nice. You're even, the other thing that you're starting to discover nuanced things to it. Do it in the very middle. Now get on the edge. Does that sound the same or does that sound different?
Different.
Now do one in the middle and one on the side. How are you going to figure that stuff out unless you play around with it? You won't. And here's the thing, if you were playing that loud, you wouldn't really hear a difference. You're hearing a difference because it's soft. So that's what I need you to think about for these kinds of things. Just maybe pick like one day and just go, I'm gonna run all of the Rachel songs, but with like, you're gonna turn the volume down and you're gonna try to play all of them as soft as you can the whole way through. You're gonna find that double pedal stuff is really hard when you go soft.
It is.
It's very hard.
I tried. Like there's in that part, it's just.
It's hard.
It's in the recording. It's just.
So you can think of it like a game or something, right? Like, how soft can I still do it clean? You can make a game out of it.
And like a reward, if I do it clean, if I do it soft and clean, I get to just have fun with songs.
I think that's a great idea. I'm very in favor of going into practice, doing what you need to do first, and then practicing whatever you want to do for fun for as long as you want afterwards. If you already did all your homework and you ate your dinner, you can run around and play, right? You're already done with what you need to do. Your homework's done, you ate your dinner, you can play and you can have fun. You did what you needed to do first. Yeah? As opposed to if you're running around and you're playing and you still have your homework and you still have dinner and you keep saying, no, I'll do it later, who gets upset? Parents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to do things in the right order,
you're going
right?
to sleep and you're like, I'm too tired.
Yeah, and then you can't do your homework because you're too tired because you ran around and you played first.
And
Okay.
then you have to do it in the morning and you have to wake up so early.
Mason's going to be here in 2 minutes. So we didn't have time for the last one, but we had some pretty important things that we needed to talk about, okay? So for sure, you're going to play with those recordings from now on. If they're at different tempos and they got different stuff going on, you need to make sure that you're used to that. But the other thing is practice soft, please. Please practice soft. It's gonna make you better, I promise. I'm not saying it because I want to protect my ears. I'm doing it for your own good.
Are you also saying it because you kind of want to protect your
No, because I have a headset. We can play as loud as we want when we have a headset.